I like looking up Bitcoin stuff, things from the past. There's just so many things I'd like to have for historical purposes, maybe as an investment for the future. The Times newspaper from 2009, the first issue of Bitcoin magazine, old Casasius coins. There's the Wired magazine from 2011 with the famous rise and fall of Bitcoin story. But some of these relics are priced outrageous amounts of money. The Wired magazine is actually pretty reasonably priced if you go searching for it secondhand, probably because there's just so many of them. But look at the Times newspaper getting listed at 7 figures. Something that was just a few bucks, a few clams in 2009, is now being sold for more than $1 million. Casasius coins have always been jacked up in price. Even if you look at the old Bitcoin Talk forums, and Bitcoin magazine prices are just all over the place. I just really would like to own a piece of history, and those Bitcoin magazines are a part of it. But I have to check myself, because those things are scarce, but they're not scarce in the same way that Bitcoin is. They are artificially scarce. Bitcoin magazine chose to limit the number of first issues. If they really wanted to, they could print more first issues. That might be unlikely, but it's actually way more likely that they would create 22 million copies of this magazine than for 22 million Bitcoin to be created. It's hard to comprehend, but it's more likely for the Times newspaper to get old staff back in the building and print 22 million copies of this old issue than for 22 million Bitcoin to be created. You just can't convince a majority of the Bitcoin community to increase the supply. Maybe in the first year you could have, but now it's just too late. The community is too big. There are too many silent warriors out there running Bitcoin nodes that will hold the miners in check if they try to create more. How many people do you need to convince to print more copies of that Time magazine? A dozen? 100? That's easy compared to the thousands and thousands of people running nodes around the world who understand that the value of Bitcoin is tied to its scarcity. So when I look at all this old cool stuff, like the first issue of Bitcoin magazine, and I look at the price, I would much rather have a small piece of Bitcoin. Even a small piece of a Bitcoin is more rare. And with the halvening happening today, that is a very interesting thought. Thanks for watching.
Because you can't exchange it for actual, well, it is actual money, but you can exchange it for, in his case, the kroner.